Famous multimillionaire celebrity and actor portraying a superhero Mark Ruffalo thinks capitalism today is failing us and is killing us, and he's calling for socialism. And you know what? More power to you, buddy. Go ahead and call for socialism. I do find it funny that it tends to be the uber wealthy and white people who complain about racism and poverty, not the poor people. Some poor people, of course, and a lot of them, yeah, right. But the point is, why is it that these leaders are always like super wealthy people who have, what is net worth, like $30 million? Not the richest guy in the world, still in the 0.01% or whatever. So here's what I say to this. I don't care if Mark Ruffalo wants to be a multimillionaire celebrity calling for socialism. I'm just wondering why it's always them saying you first. No, how about you first, dude? Let's read the story and then I'll complain about the hypocrisy. Daily Mail reports, Daily Wire. On Sunday, actor Mark Ruffalo, who is worth an estimated $30 million by some reports, decided to trumpet his antipathy for the capitalist system. Pontificating on Twitter, it's time for an economic revolution. Capitalism today is failing us, killing us, and robbing from our children's future. In September, Ruffalo asserted his support for Senator Bernie Sanders and socialism, tweeting, "Democratic socialism per Bernie Sanders is basically the political system that works for all of us, not just 1%. Healthcare for workers, education for workers, sick leave for workers, and a fair tax system." You know what the biggest problem with socialists is, man? They don't understand that, like, things are finite. Capitalism is a distributed system that applies resources in a meritocratic way. Not completely. Capitalism is not perfect. There are a lot of problems, so we enact regulations on that capitalism to make sure things don't get out of hand. The problem with socialism is that it's a command economy that thinks everybody can have everything, and they can't. Okay? There is not an infinite amount of insulin. That's one of the big things they always talk about. Why are insulin prices going up? It's a good question. Okay? There is price checking. It's bad. We should pass laws about these things and say certain things we should regulate. But I tell you what, in your magical system of everyone getting healthcare, there's not literally infinite insulin. Which means some people would have literally no access. And today, it's the exact same. If you're too poor to afford insulin, you're in trouble. In a socialist system, it will be quite arbitrary. So what ends up happening is in socialist systems where you have a political command economy, those who have more favor towards the political party get access, which means cronyism and corruption. Why would we want that? We have a good system now. The solution isn't to burn it all down. It's to slightly change things through laws to make sure we can prioritize things better. But the sad reality is there will never be infinite medical treatments. Quite literally, everybody who is diabetic cannot get access to that medicine. Now, I know maybe diabetes is a bad example. The point I'm trying to make is if we invent a cure for a disease today, and there is only one of it, how can you guarantee that healthcare to everybody? I'm sorry, there's just not a solution to every single problem. We cannot create a utopia. But people like Mark Ruffalo seem to think it's possible to have infinite, like, how do you get education for workers? It's a good question, right? How do we guarantee that literally everyone gets an education? That would require more teachers and bigger schools. Okay, so how do we get more teachers? It's a never-ending cycle. It's an economy that doesn't make sense. Sick leave for workers. Also, I agree with that, right? But how do you create a system where everyone can stop working if you know, at the same time? Now, I will admit, I think we should have sick leave for workers. That one's not too difficult. If everyone can agree to take time off when they're sick, there's actually going to be less sick people. That one makes sense. If somebody's got the flu and they say, I'm coming to work anyway, stop, don't do that. You're going to get everybody sick, don't, you know. Or if you're injured, we want to make sure, you know. And then he says a fair tax system. That doesn't even mean anything. What is fair? Define fair. The left keeps saying rich people should pay their fair share. Okay, define what fair means. Like, what does that mean? You know, they don't have an answer. So I think it's funny. Mark Ruffalo is saying capitalism has failed us, but it hasn't failed you. And the interesting thing about the socialists is that they never try to implement it on their own. They always demand other people be forced at gunpoint to do this. Okay, you want to vote for Bernie. Fine, I get it. Bernie's not going to get these things passed that you want. It's not going to happen. Why don't you, Mark Ruffalo, and I mean this seriously, here's what I said on Twitter. Prove you mean it. Donate your excess wealth until you are at the threshold of the 1%, which I believe is like $500,000, give or take, you know, depending on the city. You'll still be rich, but you'll give millions to help the needy. I mean this seriously. And then people all of a sudden are like, it's so dumb. The Tim with the worst takes right on schedule. Oh, that's so funny that I would ask a rich person to donate his wealth to help the needy. The worst take? What are you, a capitalist? Anarcho-capitalist? Come on, man. Mark Ruffalo is sitting here complaining about capitalism. Okay, man, by all means, complain about it. But why won't you take the first step and take all that money you don't need and figure out where you can put it to help people? It's hilarious. They're defending the guy worth $30 million. Look at this one. Your point, Tim? Don't make me show you the Matt Boers comic. My response, isn't it funny how they always say, yeah, but you first? If Mark Ruffalo thinks the system is failing, nothing is stopping him from donating. Why won't he donate? Jeff Bezos donated $100 million. And people say, that's only a point, 0.01 of his net worth. Okay, fine. Mark Ruffalo, you're worth $30 million. You don't need $30 million. You can set aside, okay, I'll tell you what, make yourself the 0.5%. Keep $1 million bucks, keep $5 million bucks. Seriously, keep $5 million, put it in wealth management, get a nice hefty return, be rich for the rest of your life, and give the rest to charities and organizations that advocate for what you want. And I'll tell you this, give the money to Bernie Sanders so that he can campaign for your, oh, he won't even do that. You see, this is the problem with all of these people. The worst take. Don't make me show the Matt Boers comic, duh. Listen, man, if you really believe in this and you have $30 million, you can put 5 in wealth management, be rich for the rest of your life, and give $25 million towards politicians who will advocate for what you're saying. Why won't he do it? Heavens, why are people arguing against this? Because they're hypocrites and liars, or they're just plain dumb. This is the most offensive thing. Mark Ruffalo, you're going to come to me and tell me I shouldn't have a right to control the fruits of my labor. Meanwhile, you're the one sitting on $30 million. You see, that's the problem. I'll tell you what, man. I disagree with you, Mark. I disagree with your opinions on all of these things and how they would work, and that's okay. I respect your right to say them. I respect that you stand up for what you believe in, but I don't respect your unwillingness to give away your excess wealth. People make fun of Bernie Sanders. They say he's got he made $1 million bucks last year. He made $1 million bucks. He owns 3 houses. No, hold on. I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with Bernie Sanders advocating for democratic socialism and having those things. Because Bernie is still not a billionaire. He is still not the cream of the crop, top of the top, but he's rich. Bernie has done well for himself. And within a democratic socialist system, that's still kind of possible. What we're talking about is how much is too much. I would prefer it if Bernie didn't have extra houses. I don't think he needs that. But Bernie has $1 million bucks, and he probably spent some of that. He's probably campaigning with some of it. So he's rich, sure. Mark Ruffalo is substantially wealthier, 30 times wealthier, okay? Mark Ruffalo can get rid of $25 million and give it to Bernie and other socialist organizations, but he won't do it. He just wants everyone else to do it. It's so weird, isn't it? I don't believe, look, Mark, I don't think you're serious. I think you're a liar, and I think you're saying this because it makes you feel good. But the truth is, no one needs $30 million. They don't. No one, well, I guess technically if you have like a rare genetic disease that can't be cured and you want to invest $25 million into curing that, sure, I guess that kind of makes sense. And then that cure can be used for other people. Hey, that works, right? For the most part, though, I do believe there's a certain point where enough is enough. For me, I don't think anybody should be restricted from earning. I'm certainly respect that you've made, 30 million net worth or whatever, Mark. And if that's not true, look, man, you can get rid of all of your money and bring yourself all the way down to a couple $100,000 and still be substantially wealthier. But the more important issue here is, Mark, you could give away every penny, every extra property, every vacation property, investment property, give it all away. Because you're a famous movie star, man. You can easily go on a book tour and you will never know what it's like to scrape grime off the back of a deep fryer at McDonald's. You will never have to do that. There is nothing that will happen to Mark Ruffalo. Okay, there are some things, I guess, like he gets kidnapped by pirates and they put him in the back of a deep fryer. Fine. But I'm saying, in all likelihood, Mark Ruffalo will always be rich because he's famous. That's how it is. Even if he gave away every red cent, he will still be able to make 6 figures at minimum, doing very little. Now, I don't think acting is the easiest job in the world, but it's certainly relative to the amount of money they make. So Mark Ruffalo could reduce his salary or could demand at these big movies, because I don't think Mark Ruffalo is getting paid, you know, what Robert Downey Jr. is getting paid, but he's certainly a very, very, very wealthy individual. You could give away 90% of your income and still be in the 1%. So why won't you do it? And why are people telling me I'm wrong for asking rich people who want socialism to put their money where their mouth is? How is this a worse take? He has no pizza experience, never been in the pizza kitchen. I don't even know what you're trying to say there. Why can't Mark Ruffalo just be the 1%? I don't get it. And if you think just insulting me for asking to do it, seriously saying just be the 1%, well then you've failed because you've convinced no one to get on board with what Mark Ruffalo is saying. I will be damned if I'm going to have Mark Ruffalo come to me and tell me to give up my money when he's the rich guy sitting in the ivory tower. No. You first, Mark Ruffalo. All of these rich, wealthy progressives should be the first to put up their money towards advocating socialism before I would ever consider doing it, because you're liars and you're hypocrites, and all you want is, like Michael Bloomberg said, we should tax the poor because they spend money on stupid things. Okay, I get it. I'm done. I got another segment coming up in a few minutes. Stick around. I will see you all shortly.